Good evening, students. Welcome to my 10 Minutes Math channel. This is Teacher Brenda. Today, we would look into part 16 of time, which is calculating time duration or elapsed time. Another term for time duration would be elapsed time. How do we calculate how long a time has passed? Now, for example, let's say you went out to play a game at 4:15 in the evening, okay? And you came back at 5:50. So from 4:15 up to 5:50, how long the time has passed? That's called elapsed time or time duration. How do we calculate that? Now, that would be the focus of our lesson. Now, however, let me also brief you that there are three types of questions that you can actually encounter in this. For example, okay, sometimes the question might give us or ask us what is the time duration, but they would give us information such as the start time and the end time. For example, you go to school at 7:30 in the morning, okay, prior to COVID. And you would say end at 1 o'clock. So 1 p.m. So 7:30 in the morning until, that is the start time, until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. How long have you spent your time in school? That's called elapsed time or time duration. So sometimes question can ask us to find out what is the time duration. In the second type of question, they would give us the start time, they would give us the time duration, and they would ask us to find what is the end time. Say, for example, in the same example, 7:30 in the morning, you go to school, okay? And you spend, say, 5.5 hours in school. What time does it end? So that's the second type of question where they ask you the end time. Now remember, if they ask you to add the end time, you should know how long is the time duration and when something started. Okay? If they ask you for the time duration, you should know when something started and when is the end time. You should know these two information. Now, the third type of question would give you the time duration. It would say probably this is 10 hours, something took, there was a sale that happened in the supermarket and it lasted for a day. It was only for 10 hours. The supermarket closed at 8 p.m. Okay, 8 p.m. at night. Now, that was the end time. When did it open? So you have to go back in time from 8 p.m., go back 10 hours and find out when did the supermarket or the store opened for sale. Do you understand? So I hope you understand on your side. So guys and girls, when you want to calculate or when you want to solve problems related to time duration, remember that there are three types of questions that you could probably encounter. So let's see our next slide. Okay, this one shows us how to calculate, okay, in this example, how to calculate time duration given the start time and given the end time. Now remember, when I said given the start time and given the end time means you are given the time as per the clock. Whether it's in the 12-hour system or whether it's a 24-hour system, it doesn't matter, but it should have the AM or PM in it, or it could be in the 24-hour system. So you should have these units, okay, these measures of time. It is stating a time, a particular end time and a particular start time. Now, time duration, on the other hand, it's not AM or PM, or it doesn't tell us the time on the clock. It is how long something has happened. So when you answer this question on time duration, you should have answers like so many minutes, how many hours, how many days, how many months. It should all be in the units of time that you have learned previously. Whereas the end time and the start time should tell you precisely when is that time. It could be exactly a day or a date or even hours and even let's say 5:15 until 7:30 p.m., something like that. Now, in this example, we are supposed to calculate time duration. We are given the start time, we are given the end time. So how do we do this? Remember, when you want to calculate time duration, this is like the formula. It's pretty easy. Take your end time, whatever your end time is, and subtract, take it or do a subtraction to your start time. In other words, treat this like a bar. This is your start time. This is your end time. So how do I calculate the elapsed time or the time duration? Is I take the end time and I subtract it with my start time. This is how you calculate. In our second example, okay, we have here, we have been given the start time, we have been given the time duration, and we are required to find the end time. So if I were to draw a bar, it would look like this. This is the start time, given the time duration, okay, the time duration is also given, and you're supposed to find what is the end time. Now, how do I do that? It's pretty easy. Take your start time, add with your time duration. Obviously, it makes sense, right? You started something at 7 o'clock in the morning, you add 5 hours, and that is the time you finished school, say one something. So this shows us this time duration will be given in hours or minutes or days or months or something like that. And start time will specifically tell you when did it start. So to find the end time, all you need to do is take your start time, add it with how long you have your time duration or your elapsed time. Okay, now let's go on to our last example, and that would be calculating the start time. Now, what if the question gave us the time duration, gave us when something ended, but it required us to find the start time? How do you do that? Now, again, I would draw a rectangle, a bar, and so we are going to find the start time here. I know my duration and I know my end time. All I don't know is I do not know what is my start time, okay? So how do I do that? You take your end time and you go back in time. You take away, you subtract your time duration and you reach your start time. So you should try to understand these questions, okay? Understand the type of questions that you encounter when you solve problems related to time and time duration. So remember, 3 types of question, okay? One could be finding time duration itself. One could be finding the end time, or the other one could be asking you to find the start time. For whichever type of question that you encounter, okay, there has to be 2 answers or 2 information that you should already be given. You should find the third one only. So with that, I will end today's session, and I will see you in the next session for more examples on how to calculate these times.